Good evening, everyone. Earlier this year, we showed you the devastating side effects of Singulair, one of the most prescribed drugs in the country.
We also exposed the manufacturer had evidence the drug affected the brain decades ago before the company started selling it as an allergy and asthma medication.
Tonight, Chris Pickle is looking into concerns that side effects may continue years after stopping the drug.
We are looking into claims that Singulair can create long-term mental health issues and why the pharmaceutical company, who made billions off of the drug, does not have to study how it affects the brain.
You know, as a parent, you try to get them to, go to school and get up. And there were days we couldn't get her out of her room. It was really, really hard. Sorry.
She asked us not to use her name. But this mother is sharing the anguish caused by an allergy medicine. At 11 years old, her daughter was prescribed Montelukast, the generic version of Singulair.
She would wake up in the middle of the night and would be screaming that there were bugs on her.
So she was having hallucinations?
Hallucinations, correct. And we actually had to get her into therapy we thought she was going crazy. It was really scary.
For 3 years, she says doctors failed to recognize the drug's side effects, then doubled the dose.
She had a lot of OCD tendencies. She would always have like a dry cough, and she would always do this thing with her hands where she would like blow on both of her hands. And it was really scary.
And these symptoms really intensified once they upped the dosage.
Absolutely. And then her refusal, the biggest thing was the refusal, the not sleeping and the refusal to go to school.
But once she went off the medication, did any of the symptoms get better?
Some did, but she's still not 100% like she was before.
Are you concerned that there could be long-term side effects?
Absolutely. She's had anxiety, depression.
Singulair helps prevent asthma symptoms before they start.
As we highlighted in a previous investigation, in 2020, the FDA put a box warning on the drug, the agency's most serious warning, stating because of the risk of mental health side effects, the benefits of Montelukast may not outweigh the risks. But this mother says doctors never told her about the risks. It wasn't until she saw our investigation that she connected the dots.
My husband and I were watching. We both looked at each other, and it's like that light bulb went off. I said, I think this is what's causing her problems.
Tics, depression, and aggression. After that investigation aired, we heard from multiple viewers who said they had never been warned about Singulair's side effects. We were contacted by a mother whose son suffers severe side effects. She was so frustrated, she recently recorded herself asking pharmacists about warnings.
Do they have a black box warning on Montelukast? You don't think so?
Despite the box warning being out for a year and a half, pharmacists after pharmacists had no idea.
What about side effects when taking it?
So did you want to put this on profile and then call you when you run out when you have to?
Some people complain of dizziness sometimes.
Dizziness?
Yeah. So, some dryness sometimes.
Do you know if that has a black label?
I don't believe Singulair does.
We previously introduced you to Tyson Pawnee, who was recovering from anger, depression, and other side effects. Do you remember the time that we were talking about?
When I went crazy?
His story helped people across the country figure out their symptoms, like this woman in Nashville, Tennessee.
The little boy that you had on the section that I saw, I was about like him, and I wanted to die. I had a complete manic meltdown. I was laying in my bed and I was saying, let me die, let me die, let me die.
There are still critical, unanswered questions, including how the drug affects the brain and potential long-term side effects.
We need a doctor interested in this too. No one seems to care.
We're now revisiting Tyson and his mother, Cammie. 4 years after going off Singulair, Tyson is significantly better, but not fully recovered. Do you have the same child you had before you started Singulair?
In some ways, yes, but he has some long-term issues.
What are the other issues?
just really extreme chemical sensitivities to artificial additives, dyes, sweeteners. He's on a very restricted diet.
Cammie helps run a Facebook page dedicated to the drug's side effects. A reoccurring concern among members is a lack of information on side effects they believe were caused by the drug that can remain even years after going off the medication.
A lot of kids have severe OCD after stopping. A lot of kids have tics that don't go away.
For Tyson, various foods and medications that he used to tolerate now trigger reactions.
His pupils get huge, and sometimes he'll cry, and you can't console him.
It is constant monitoring, and mistakes have severe consequences.
He had this keto bar, and I thought I checked all the ingredients, but within 10 minutes he was bashing his head into the wall and back to, that type of thing. And it was about a day of him being I lost him for a whole day.
I mean, a lot of times I don't even really know. A lot of times I can't remember it after.
Can you tell me what happens?
I just get mad and kind of just lose control, and it's just crazy to see. It's not fun for anyone when it happens.
Merck, the drug manufacturer, made billions off of the sales of Singulair. Now that it's available in generic form and no longer a big moneymaker, there is no incentive for the company to pay for expensive studies on long-term effects. During a 2019 meeting, FDA representatives were asked about the possibility of forcing Merck to fund a study.
But you could imagine a company who no longer makes a lot of money off of this product, looking at a very expensive trial to do, may make a business decision.
That business decision? Merck could simply stop making Singulair. There would be no consequences. The generic version, montelukast, would still be available. And the FDA cannot force makers of generic drugs to do studies. Merck did not respond to my questions for this investigation, but previously provided the statement, "We remain confident in the efficacy and safety of Singulair." The FDA confirmed they are not requiring any additional studies from the manufacturer, leaving families who believe the drug hurt their children without answers on how to help them heal.
It's not just one thing, and that's what's the scariest, I think, in my opinion, that there's not a lot out there, and a lot of people don't know how much damage that this can do to children.
While Merck is not being required to do any additional studies, an FDA spokesperson told me they are currently paying for their own study examining how the drug affects the brain. But when I pushed for details on if that study includes looking at long-term effects, the spokesperson said she could not confirm or deny it. But based on the description of the study I was provided, it does not look like it does. Chris Pickle, News 4 Nashville.